Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money channel. So back in 2019, I did this video, the Ripple Mafia, connecting some big players in the financial space to Ripple the company. And guys, this goes back to the mid-2010s. I wanted to refresh your memory on this. I did also do a follow-up video a couple of years later. And now in 2024, we have found more information connecting Ripple to big players in the space. So if you guys haven't seen this, sit back, enjoy. I'm going to play you guys a clip of the video I did back in 2019. And we're going to connect more big players to the Ripple Mafia moving into 2024. Without further ado, here we go. So some of you guys have been in the crypto space for a while and have probably heard about the Ripple Mafia. This article came out about 10 months ago, so almost a year ago now, but I thought it was worth covering again. I didn't actually cover it the first time it came out, but in times of crypto collapse, one must remember the importance of having an intertwined network on your side. And guys, Ripple is the company that has just that. For those of you guys who do remember this article, it might be a good time to refresh. I am going to try to cover a few different angles in this video, so sit back, relax. I hope you guys bought some XRP at crazy discounted prices because guys, this thing is going to be huge. So the Ripple Mafia from 10 months ago, ladies and gentlemen, our friends from Alpha Trade Zone just submitted a wonderful, elaborate piece about Ripple. We won't leave many words about it. Just make sure to grab your favorite beverage, sit down, and let this piece of extensive research sink in. So what if I told you that the Nobel Prize laureate and economist Milton Friedman talked about electric cash back in 1999? Or how about that cyberpunks have been calling for decentralized and anonymous financial transactions since 1993? And finally, David Chaum wrote a paper on anonymous electronic money all the way back in 1982. So when it comes to the world of cryptocurrencies, there's a lot going on in the background that most of us are unaware of. Many conversations are held and decisions being made behind the curtain by influential individuals and organizations long before the general public is aware. And among all this commotion, one crypto company stands out, Ripple. It is a skillful player in the world of politics, having established strong, widespread relationships with the most powerful decision makers and thought leaders. This is surely to be a key pillar of Ripple's success. Oh, and what if I told you that Ripple was older than Bitcoin? So guys, Ripple the company, today we'll talk about some interesting connections between Ripple and numerous influential individuals, including Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, and Peter Thiel, and powerful organizations including the IMF, Google, and the US Federal Reserve. So Ripple's primary vision is to enable the world to move money as fast as information. With over 300 employees and with offices in the USA, UK, Australia, Singapore, India, Luxembourg, Japan, and Dubai, Ripple provides services to over 100 corporate clients. Their products, XCurrent, XV, and XRapid, are gaining traction and are being incorporated by huge names like Temenos. And so guys, I will warn you, there are a few things that are a little outdated in this article, but overall you will get the gist. By the way, I forgot to mention this. Ian Northing was the one who posted this originally on Twitter. That's at Ian Bins. So I did see this a few days ago, and this is what got me thinking about the Ripple connection, and then the market collapsed, and I thought, no, you know what? We need a refresher on why Ripple is essentially set up to succeed. So back to the Ripple Mafia here. So even more, Chris Larsen, the executive chairman of Ripple, believes that XRP could even help prevent the next financial crisis by releasing the tied-up capital. How did everything begin? And so guys, it all began with a company called OpenCoin. Ryan Fugger started developing Ripple in 2004. Guys, that's right. 2004. Several years already before Bitcoin. In 2012, it turned into OpenCoin Inc. by Jed McCaleb and Arthur Brito, David Schwartz, and Chris Larsen. A year later, the company was backed by some of the best known venture funds in Silicon Valley. So guys, it was already backed by venture funds in Silicon Valley, even when it was called OpenCoin. They included Google Ventures, Peter Thiel, who is the co-founder of PayPal, and Andreessen Horowitz, the company that sold Skype to Microsoft for a whopping $8.5 billion. So let's first talk about the PayPal Mafia. So speaking of Peter Thiel, let's talk about the PayPal Mafia. So that included Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Steve Chen, Reid Hoffman, and Russell Simmons all worked together at PayPal. They later sold it to eBay for $1.5 billion to split the cash and create multiple billion-dollar companies of their own. The list is long and includes names like SpaceX, Tesla, YouTube, Yelp, and LinkedIn. Well done, guys. we are seeing a similar pattern in the world of crypto. And so guys, just to go over this for a second, I'm just going to bring up a chart here because this is some information that I think you should realize. In this article, they are already likening the PayPal Mafia to the Ripple Mafia. And, smart minds are behind this. Obviously went on to build huge companies down the road. And so I just want to show you guys some of these companies. So for example, I'm just going to show you guys some of these charts here. PayPal, for example. Okay, just to give you guys a quick snapshot of how these stocks have done over the years. So this is PayPal Holdings. Okay, since this began in July 2015, and this is where the stock is trading today. So there's PayPal there. Tesla, another one, right? Look at these charts, okay? Everything moving upward heavily. Of course, Tesla have had their own problems and have now declined a little bit, but still ultimately up on the month. Google, guys, another huge one now called Alphabet and has split several times. Finally, eBay, guys, eBay started back in the late 90s, and just look at those stock prices. So guys, they are already likening Ripple to this kind of activity in the broader .com space. And so we took a look at those charts. Now I'm going to show you guys for those of you guys who do remember, just another company there that bought up a company and the success story that followed. So Jed McCaleb, the founder of OpenCoin Mt. Gox and eDonkey, left Ripple to set up Stellar, and Justin's son created Tron, currently evaluated more than $1.5 billion. Who will be the next Elon Musk, and what will be the next YouTube? That we don't know. What we do know pretty well, though, is that Ripple is building something huge, and you'll see why in a moment. So then this gets into Ripple's top management and third-party relationships. So let's start by taking a look at some of their current directors and their relationships with big organizations. So we have Chris Larsen, executive chairman and one of the co-founders of OpenCoin. An extensive fintech background, being a member of the Fintech High-Level Advisory Group at the IMF and the HSBC. He is making sure that Ripple's interests are taken into consideration by the global government organizations. Okay, guys, Chris Larsen on high-level advisory boards, both at the IMF and HSBC. Susan Athey, a senior economic consultant to the Microsoft and Ripple's board, is another key player. She is responsible for the partnership between Ripple and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. This partnership aims at banking the unbanked in developing countries. Okay, we got Ken Kurson, and he's the person who is closely related to the Trump family. He served as the executive vice president of Jamestown Associates, which also runs controversial pro-Republican advertising campaigns in the U.S., including those of Donald Trump. Gene Sperling was a chief economic advisor to Hillary Clinton during her 2016 presidential campaign. We got also David Schwartz, Ripple's lead developer, used to be on the board before he gave his spot to Ken Kurson, and David has worked for CNN and the NSA on multiple occasions. If you guys don't know this, David Schwartz has done some consulting work for the NSA. So this article was from last year, Ripple's $1 trillion man, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have read this one. One of Ripple's lead cryptographers. So it says here, meanwhile, he was getting interested in cryptography. In 2001, he landed a company in Santa Clara, California called Webmaster Inc., where he helped design an early cloud-based storage system. During his decade there, he also consulted for the National Security Agency, the NSA, helping integrate the agency's network software with existing security and public key infrastructure technology. In other words, Schwartz was gaining a working knowledge of cryptography at a high level. It was a fantastic experience, he says. So David Schwartz, one of Ripple's lead cryptographers, has had contract work for the National Security Agency on the federal level, okay? We can start seeing how these relationships are going to become more important for Ripple as we continue discovering more. These are just some of Ripple's directors and their cozy relationships with the rich and powerful of our world. If you look closer, even more fascinating details come to light. So now, guys, we have the Bilderberg Group. Ripple and the Bilderberg Group, the connection. What is the connection between Ripple and the Bilderberg Group? Well, after all, it's a forum established in 1954 for immensely influential individuals and organizations to engage and interact and share ideas. So guys, here's Bilderberg Group on Wikipedia. It's an annual conference established obviously in 1954 to foster dialogue between Europe and North America. The group's agenda was originally to prevent another world war and is now defined as bolstering a consensus around free market, Western capitalism, and its interests around the globe. So participants include political leaders, experts from industry, finance, academia, and the media, numbering between 120 and 150 people. So guys, a hugely influential meeting that happens in the world. And you have to be in the know if you are going to be invited to this thing, right? So senior decision makers from companies like IBM, Xerox, Nokia, Daimler, Google, and Amazon meet together with monarchs, politicians, and academics every year to discuss business opportunities. Interestingly enough, Susan Athey, part of Ripple's team as pictured up here, guys, Susan Athey joined Ripple shortly after attending the Bilderberg Group meeting in 2013. Anna Botin was invited to the meeting in 2015, and as you guys know, she is part of Banco Santander, and Ripple obviously is a partner of Santander Bank. Peter Thiel, one of Ripple's early investors and colleagues, are present at almost every Bilderberg Group meeting. Bill Clinton, obviously another member and keynote speaker at last year's Ripple Swell Conference. Ben Bernanke, the former Federal Reserve Chairman, who also regularly participates in those meetings, was the keynote speaker at Swell last year as well, or rather 2 years ago because this was written last year. Interests of numerous businesses, organizations, and pressure groups are represented in those gatherings. Nonetheless, it does seem clear that Ripple's agenda is successfully being pushed forward. So you guys are starting to see how this all adds up, why this is very, very important for you to understand when investing in XRP, when really understanding Ripple and how they are permeating so many facets of our global economy. So we also have the CME Group and Digital Currencies Group, the surprising ties. So who else might be connected to Ripple? Well, a better question would be who is not connected to Ripple? The famous CME Group that offers crypto futures is an investor in Ripple and has one of its executives, Miguel Valles, as Ripple's top management. Leo Melamed, CME's group's chairman, once said, "We'll tame Bitcoin." Quite an ambition. Another investor in Ripple is Digital Currency Group. The group has a stake in Coinbase and many other crypto-related services. Speaking of Coinbase, let's take a look at Ripple's partnership with the Via Americas Corporation. Its co-founder and CEO, Paul Dwyer, is a board chairman of the Money Services Business Association. The MSBA works directly with the Securities and Exchange Commission. So if the SEC declares XRP a security, which we know it will not, as we have had a clear definition from Jay Clayton. I covered that a few videos ago, so maybe I can skip this part. Nevertheless, guys, I will link this in the description if you want to read further. So it talks about if it's listed as a security or not. Furthermore, Ripple, together with a group of companies, have formed the Securing America's Internet of Value Coalition. This organization employed services of the Klein Johnson Group, a bipartisan lobbying firm, to raise issues with the SEC and other government agencies involved in the regulation of cryptocurrencies. So Ripple and its influential leaders know really well how to protect their interests, and they are actively doing it. Overall, Ripple has partnered with more than 100 banks. At the time of this writing, it was 100 banks. Now we know it's over 220 banks and financial institutions around the world. So guys, some of these names include, but are not limited to, American Express, MoneyGram, Standard Chartered, UniCredit, BBVA, Santander, and Credit Agricole. And guys, the expansion continues. Later this year, Ripple is opening an office in Dubai. We already know that. Latin America's largest banks will soon use Ripple to process payments. As we know, guys, back in July, they did officially announce the partnership with MoneyGram. So at this point, the partnership wasn't solidified, but now, as we know, they have indeed partnered with MoneyGram. Ripple has a stake in MoneyGram now. It says here, one of the biggest banks in Asia, SBI, is a long-term partner and investor in Ripple. Obviously, the integration of Ripple with Temenos, which we haven't heard from in a while, a B2B financial software solution, was another step forward, as it allowed Ripple to gain access to over 500 million customers and 3,000 financial institutions in more than 150 countries. Guys, Ripple is laying the groundwork now. We're not seeing that volume through XRP right this second, but that is literally because the regulations have not come to pass. We don't have that worldwide guidance. We don't have a clear framework from country to country to country in order to implement this yet. Ripple is clearly getting this done, but it is still going to take time. So guys, to wrap it all up, guys, those whom we see as visionaries understand well that it's the business component of their vision that drives adoption. For better or for worse, groundbreaking technology goes nowhere without commerce. It was true for the printing press, and it's also true for cryptocurrencies. And at the core of building a strong commercial base is building strong business relationships. This is something that Ripple truly excels at. Something they absolutely excel at. And did you hear me comment about the SEC never, ever going to declare XRP a security? What a joke. This is again from 5 years ago. And of course, in 2019, I did not know what was going to be coming down the pike in late 2020. So, of course, things have shifted since then. Things that occurred that we weren't assuming were going to occur happened. So maybe the timeline has shifted a little bit. But you also did notice that I mentioned Susan Athey in this video. Susan Athey is the co-creator of the XRP price value calculator. And one of her partners, though, in helping to create the XRP price calculator is, of course, Robert Mitchnick, who is now head of digital assets at BlackRock. I've recently did some videos on Robert Mitchnick. I'll see if I can find a more recent one, and I will link it up here in the top right-hand corner. Now, the interesting thing about Robert Mitchnick, he is the head of digital assets now at BlackRock. BlackRock being the biggest asset fund manager on planet Earth. And I could not find, I think this is from a third-party website here, but it does give you guys a brief synopsis of Robert Mitchnick's bio here. Serves as the head of digital assets for BlackRock. He's a member of Corp Exec COO executive team, and he's driving BlackRock's digital asset strategy. So he is the guy who is in charge of BlackRock's digital asset strategy. Over here, it says he's helped to develop and execute on strategic initiatives involving distributed ledger technology, guys, so DLT technology. Prior to joining BlackRock, Robbie spent time at CPP Investment Board in public markets and private investments, and at Ripple. During his time at Ripple, Robbie co-authored a fundamental valuation framework for crypto assets, and that was the one that he did with John Bates Clark and medal winner Susan Athey. So you can see now how these connections are starting to make sense. The Ripple Mafia grows. On top of which, we've got some more connections here, guys. This was a follow-up video I did 2 years later. I released this in November of 2021. Some more insights into the Ripple Mafia. Watch this. For those of you guys who've been around in this space for a while, you probably already know this. This is the Edmund de Rothschild Fund. And this is a financial capital fund, guys, a derivative from one of the most influential banking families on the face of the earth. Now, if you did not think that these guys were connected with Ripple and XRP, I did want to show you guys this. If you go down here, scrolling down to page 29, you can see this, and I know some of you guys already know about this connection here. Back in 2018, these guys were interested in owning a portion of SBI Holdings. The underlying equity rallied over 60% during the period as the company was caught up in the optimism surrounding cryptocurrencies. Now, we know which cryptocurrencies they were caught up in. SBI owns 8.7%, or rather an 8.7% stake in Ripple's XRP, with volatility in the underlying equity rising and the company's 2017 CB converted. The CB's also richened strongly. So, an indirect connection to Ripple's XRP via SBI Holdings through the Edmund de Rothschild Capital Fund, guys. And this again was back from 2018. So the private bank, the Edmund de Rothschild Private Banking Company, just to give you guys a little bit of background, is a conviction-driven investment house dedicated to the conviction that wealth is what tomorrow can be made of. Family-based, independent, and specialized, the group favors bold strategies and investments rooted in the real economy, combining long-term performance and impact. And some of you guys may know this, some of you guys may not know this. Someone who is connected to the Rothschild family, maybe directly, maybe indirectly, I will leave that for you to decide. Did you know that the Schwabs and the Rothschilds, there's a familial connection there? Marianne Schwab, nee Rothschild, was born in 1919 in Frankfurt, is the daughter of Louis and Melanie Rothschild of Bad Homburg, Germany, a few miles north of Frankfurt. Bad Homburg was described as having a then population of about 60,000 to 70,000 inhabitants, of which approximately 5% were Jewish. But you must notice these two very recognizable familial names, the Schwabs and the Rothschilds, which ultimately brings to who I think is the main boss in the Ripple Mafia, Klaus Schwab here from the World Economic Forum. I know I've talked a lot about the World Economic Forum in a lot of the videos I do, but just to give you guys a brief overview, he founded the forum in 1971, the same year in which he published the Modern Enterprise Management and Mechanical Engineering book. In that book, he argued that the management of a modern enterprise must serve not only shareholders, but all stakeholders to achieve long-term growth and prosperity. Schwab has championed the multi-stakeholder concept since the forum's inception, and it has become the world's foremost platform for public and private cooperation. We know Klaus Schwab also has an agenda, guys. He wrote this book as well, The Great Reset. Now, he did, I believe he did do a version of this before the actual pandemic broke out. But this, I think, is a updated version, if I'm not mistaken. Beer Flu, The Great Reset. So this guy here, I would argue one of the most influential men that is really running the show here. Of course, we got the Schwab-Rothschilds connection, not to mention all those other connections that I mentioned here with regards to Silicon Valley and the technical aspect of this. I know I'm broadening out here. This video really did connect the technology part of it, but just to give you guys an overview, it's important to note Ripple also one of those main partners of the World Economic Forum, and we've got Chris Larsen, their CEO, also one of the partners here of the World Economic Forum. And the World Economic Forum did come out with a paper back in June outlining, some of the cryptocurrencies that they could see achieve a valuable status down the road once we really get the ball rolling. And XRP was not the only one on the list, okay? I mean, there was XLM, there was Algorand, Cardano, Solana, and I believe CeeLo was another one on there. But I mean, I have to ask the question, right? Ripple is actually listed here on the World Economic Forum webpage. And when I go to that webpage and I look up the partners of the World Economic Forum, I go down here, and I search R here, and you guys can see Ripple is listed right down here. But I figured I'd give them the benefit of the doubt. The Stellar Foundation was also on that World Economic Forum list, one of those other cryptocurrencies that deals with payments. And when I open up the S section here, Stellar Foundation, nowhere to be found. Then I thought to myself, you know what, I might as well look up Algorand too while I'm at it. Algorand, nope, could not find it. So with regards to payments specifically, and we know there are many different cryptocurrencies that do many different things, but with regards to payments, Ripple, the only cryptocurrency related company listed for payments here on the World Economic Forum's webpage. So then I thought, I'd take it upon myself to check again some of those cryptocurrencies listed here. Again, this is the June 2021 paper that I will link in the description of this video, include Algorand, XRP, and Stellar's XLM, of course. We know Ripple is a partner of the World Economic Forum, and they have actually changed their website around a little bit. Bringing up Stellar, let's just do a quick search here for Stellar. And as you guys can see here, look at that. Stellar has now been added to the list, another World Economic Forum partner. So then I thought I'd look up Algorand too. Might as well, since I'm here. Oh, wow, and look at that. Even Algorand is now a partner of the World Economic Forum. So I guess they just needed to update their website. So guys, there's going to be a handful of these cryptocurrencies that are really going to make waves. But which cryptocurrency, guys, is the star of the show? Remember, head of digital assets at BlackRock is Robert Mitchnick. Robert Mitchnick used to work for Ripple. And when asked about a Ripple ETP, this is what Larry Fink had to say, guys, the CEO and the head boss of the biggest financial hedge fund in the world. Listen to this.
How about an XRP ETF? I know you got Ether out there. How about XRP? Can you answer that?
I can't.
How about XRP? Can you answer that?
I can't.
He cannot answer the question, a simple question. And guys, all you have to do is just look at the board of directors. Take a look at some of these connections. Well, we've got Chris Larson and Brad Garlinghouse, of course. But take a look at this. Anja Manuel, former diplomat, author, and advisor on emerging markets. Anja Manuel is co-founder and principal, along with former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, former National Security Advisor Stephen Hadley, and former Secretary of Defense Robert Gates. So connections there, big connections in the White House, along with Sandy O'Connor, guys. Sandy O'Connor is a recognized financial industry thought leader with a career spanning over 30 years. She has led strategy and led engagement with G20 policymakers. There she previously held senior positions, including global treasurer, head of prime service, and was a member of the executive committee too. She also does have connections to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, and she was also the director of Bank for New York Mellon, which happens to be a Ripple partner. On top of which, guys, Rosie Rios, the biggie, has over 30 years of experience in public policy and investment management. She served also as the 43rd treasurer of the United States. So yes, literally, her name is on all the money. The Ripple Mafia just keeps growing and growing as more revelations come to light. I personally think we are holding the best cryptocurrency on planet Earth, but that's just my opinion. I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.